What's up, peeps? Hope you're all doing well. Today, me and Nick break down for all you guys our first impressions as we had closed beta access to Valorant, what could be the next biggest game, and Esport. We'll see. Here it is. So first, let's talk about the visuals. Definitely widely spoken of as not necessarily the best looking graphics out there, but obviously the counter debate to that is that if you are a game that runs smoothly, you don't need those top-notch graphics. Something I certainly do agree with as we look towards Riot Games in their other games, that being League of Legends. We also look towards other top games in esports out there like Counter-Strike. I would say, in my own opinion, the visuals weren't too appealing, but also not too deterring in the fact of, it's not like a Smite where you directly compare Smite to League of Legends and it's such a big difference. To me, the gameplay, or at least when it comes to the visual aspect of it, hasn't really affected my experience at all.
I'm kind of in the same boat as well, I gotta say, because visually, yes, it looks cartoony. It doesn't have like that more realistic look that kind of gives it more of a competitive game feel, but it still has the same cute little aesthetic that I don't really mind. But at the same time, also, I do agree with you in that, performance above graphics.
And then next up, when it comes to the gameplay experience as well, how the game actually felt with all of the abilities, of course, the variety of weapons as well. My first and initial take, and we'll keep on developing this as well, is it felt nice. A lot of headshots, I would say, compared to other games and esports out there. But certainly one thing that I want to mention they lived up to was that abilities are not overpowered. A lot of this game is mentioned to be as the FPS side of things. We've seen a lot of FPS shooters out there and streamers out there succeed very much so. I would say aim and guns definitely matter a lot more than abilities, and I love that part of the gameplay experience.
But at the same time, I still found the abilities to be very important in the game. As a CS player as well, I mentioned this several times, but it's like, I found myself not using my abilities enough because I'm so used to just sitting around corners and just waiting and just clicking with stuff. So it took a lot of adaptation, I guess. But at the same time, a lot of people were also saying that the game wasn't comparable to CSGO. But when I was playing it, I was like, this just feels like CSGO with abilities. A lot of people were kind of downplaying that comparison, but I didn't feel that way.
I completely agree, but it came so far for overall competitive balance. We're definitely going to see a lot of changes to a lot of these agents and, of course, the weapons along with it. But so far for balance, the game feels good for being this early on in the initial state of things.
And since Riot's one of their big selling points of the game, at least, was just the fact that it can run on just about any computer. It's very low graphic game, and it should be able to run on pretty low rigs. I had a home PC that I was working on, just my roommate's actually, and I was playing the game from his. It's pretty beefed up computer, so I guess at this point it's kind of expected for it to run on that pretty well. But I did have a friend also who has a bit of a less strong computer, and I would say that it actually still kind of lived up to its expectations, and it still ran very well on those lower end PCs. And what I mean by that is that while I was running the game on both the low end and the high end computer, I was still hitting that triple digit frame threshold. So I would actually say that Riot really lived up to the end of the deal, because playing on these lower end rigs, I noticed that they were still running the game very well.
And then when it came to online experience, I would say when it comes to teams out there, we're so used to watching streamers. They all seem pretty friendly towards one another. When it came to my own online experience, either it's a VAC error, a netcode error. We did have a few of those going around, as many personalities did make sure to mention on Twitter. Along with that, though, we also have seen a few instances of supposed cheaters out there as well. Whether fake or not, we can probably expect that sometime down the line. Nothing when it came to online game experience that I was too worried for right off the bat when it's this early on in beta.
And I know that many other people, as well as you involved, could actually attest to having those online connectivity issues, whatever it is, cheaters, not cheating actually. But me personally, as I was playing, I did not run into any issues in that regard that I can actually think of right now. Like, the game felt always responsive. I never had issues connecting to the server or anything. I was always just playing and chilling.
And certainly when it comes to first impressions, the most exciting part of this video, that being the esport potential. As we have talked about it, plenty of people have talked about it. We have now seen already our first and second pro players alongside our first rosters, almost full rosters, even swapping games completely for this game. The esports potential, I think, notably has to be seen as, its potential. It's there already in a beta game. I don't know if we've ever seen it in this regard compared to the level of hype around any other game, as well as the potential of any other game to actually be a competitive esport. We've talked about the balancing. That seems to be pretty good off the rip. We've talked about the lack of cheaters so far, already better than that of Warzone in comparison. I don't know if there's anyone denying about the esports potential of this certainly being there. I think the giant unanswered question is how large that potential can really be, and we'll slowly unwind that as the beta starts to close. The beta.
And I'm kind of in the same boat as you on that, where I believe it does. I personally believe it has a lot of esport potential, and just also the fact that Riot Games is behind it. And I've talked about this in several videos before, actually, because I trust Riot as a company, and I believe that generally what they actually touch, like, you got to consider, you know, they're running League of Legends, one of the biggest esport games in the world right now, and one of the biggest PC games of all time, I believe. And, well, the fact that they're behind it gives me like a sense of security almost and comfort, knowing that they're going to be the ones running it. And I feel like that's going to be probably the best company to be running a game as big as this.
And those are our first impressions after the first few days of both seeing and playing the game. Super exciting times out here on the channel, not only for you guys watching, but for us to break it down for all of you. What did you guys think about the visuals, the gameplay, the online experience, and of course the esports potential for Valorant this early on? We enjoy breaking it down. We'll keep on breaking it down for all of you guys who come back here to Esports Talk. Until next time, take care.
Bye.